Howdy, howdy, folks, and welcome to For Future Generations, episode 77 for this, the 23rd of August. It is a bit of a heavy show. I mean, I try not to be the doomer pill, but, it is not going to be fun, some of the things we're talking about. One of the things we'll talk about, which will be fun, will be the debate that was had between Dale Partridge and the totally legitimate Canadian Samuel Say. And but then we will be covering the Lindsay Clancy trial, a woman who murdered her children in cold blood and in a brutal fashion. Or did she? Yeah, we will look that up. But I am Jeff Waugh. I am joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Sean. Sean, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. I had something very special happen that I talked on Twitter about. Just real quick. This medal was given to me by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, which for those, I'm never going to get it to zoom properly, but I have a detailed picture up there. It is the United Daughters of the Confederacy version of this right here, which is the Sons of Confederate Veterans version of it. But it's basically, if you did military service and you have a Confederate ancestor who also honorably served, you get this medal. There were 3 other guys that got lesser medals because you don't just get that. You have to be in a, I don't know the exact way they determine it, but basically like in a war zone. Like you can't just be, well, I was in the military and then, I never left the States and never did whatever. Yeah. So
I was a dental assistant and I got stationed in Fort Riley and I retired out of there.
Right. Yeah. So it's got the ribbon for the Global War on Terror, and it's based off of the Southern Cross of Honor. So this one, to me, I said the same thing when I got the medal from the Sons of Confederate Veterans, what we call the War Service Medal. It means more to me to be awarded by my nation than by my country. And what I mean by that is that, the Southern people, that's my people, right? That's right. What my ancestor fought for. Him and his whole family fought for the cause of the South. And so when you come back to the South and they give you something to say, because historically, they weren't getting American service medals coming home. So they would... The women would take it upon themselves and give these medals. And so this is the heritage of that, is them recognizing the men who come back from war, and you get a little ceremony and all that kind of stuff. So it was meaningful to me, more so than the version of that I got from the Department of Defense. No offense to like Pete Hegseth and his boys, but that one's just not as cool. So.
Fantastic young Zoomers getting in the game, but yeah. Hey, the old ladies who run the movement of the Daughters of Confederacy are some of the sweetest, nicest folks that I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. So, very, very awesome. But bear with me tonight. I have a little bit of a cold, so if you hear some sniffling, if you hear some hacking and some coughing, that is my fault. Or it's whoever's fault gave me this COVID coof. Did that just get us did that just get us struck off the live stream?
Demonetized,
we will find out. Oh, we're already not monetized. But if you wonderful listeners would like to help with the monetization of this show, it's very simple. All you have to do, go to YouTube, our channel For Future Generations on YouTube. Subscribe, please. We are so close. We are so close to being able to be monetized on YouTube. And I don't know what that will look like. That may be a huge benefit. It may be hundreds of dollars a month, in which case we will quit our day jobs. Or it might be a couple of peanuts here and there. But we will still scrounge for peanuts. We will be happy to. But we have 407 subscribers right now. We need 500. So if 100 of you right now could go over and subscribe on the YouTube channel, that would be great. But with that
Or
said,
make
let's get into
fake account and subscribe again.
yeah, however many accounts you gotta make. I mean, I have a personal and a business and a family account, and all of those are subscribed to all of my bros because we got to pump those numbers up. We got to pump those numbers up. But those are legitimate accounts. They're not bots. But any little bit would help. But with that being said, folks, we really appreciate any help that y'all can give us financially or otherwise. If you want to become a supporter at buymeacoffee.com, link in the description. Or if you own a business and you would like to hear your business shouted out on the airways, you can become a sponsor, kind of like Days Full Lapel Pins. Because Days Full Lapel Pins is our sponsor for this episode. Yep, Days Full Lapel Pins. Guys, you've heard it every week for the longest time because we love Days Full Lapel Pins. I mean, I wore the
I've also got my 250 up on the hat.
It's not July anymore, but it's still 250. And you know what? Right. I'm gonna, after this year's over, I'm still gonna wear this pin. I'm gonna put it in one of my patriotic ball caps, and I'm gonna wear it around because we made it. We made it to 250 in rough shape, but we did make it. But Days Full Lapel Pins, guys, if you have not gone over and looked at the website, it is beautiful. Beautiful. First off, if you have a group, organization, school, church, and you would like to get a pin made, shout out. Email him at daysfullapelpins@yahoo.com. Who has a Yahoo account anymore these days? Come on, Hank. Dude, you must be old. But with that being said, check out some of these beautiful, beautiful pins he's got. The Jerusalem cross, which comes in all the colors of the church calendar, as well as white and black. And there's even a blue one now, too. But here you can see that collection, $30 for 5 pins. Great deal. And the Burning Heart, the Augustine's Burning Heart, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. But my favorite collection is his American Heritage and Christian Nationalist. My absolute favorite pin of all his pins is the Lone Bulwark Christian Nationalist pin. This is the art cover from the Christian Nationalist book by Stephen Wolfe, made to a pin which you can affix to your suit and let people know I am a Christian nationalist.
You notice the price that he had? They're usually $6, but look at what the Lone Bulwark is.
It's $6.83
and 83 cents.
And the Appeal to Heaven also showing there with the 83 cents there. Very, very cool. The Heritage American, the Colonial Scout, love that one. This new Church War Cross pin, that thing is just gorgeous. My favorite, absolute favorite, American Crusader lapel pin. And man, I want to get like 5 of these and put them on each of my suit jackets because I just like it so much. I want to wear it on everything. So, guys, join the priority wait list so that he remakes it so I can get some of those. The Southern Lone Bulwark with the flag. Beautiful, beautiful. This is the 2.0 with a little less gold so that you can see the colors of the flag just pop a little bit sharper. Really, really nice, really nice. And one of these, a friend of mine accidentally put his pin through the wash and it survived and looked just fine. I'm not saying you should do that. But if you accidentally put your pin through the wash, it will probably survive. And fantastic. And then also, of course, there are the historic Christian symbols. Do not sleep on the historic Christian symbols, guys. Anglo-Saxon cross, Jerusalem cross, the Huguenot cross. Guys, if you're a Huguenot, if you've got some of that slimy snail DNA creeping about in your blood veins, grab yourselves one of these, wear it with pride. It's a very cool design. I really like it. But very, very cool stuff. If you are in the market for lapel pins, if you wear a jacket to church, which you should, then you should decorate it with a lapel pin from Days Full Lapel Pins. Guys, if you are going to get pins from Days Full Lapel Pins, which I highly recommend, do not forget to use our code FFGDV26 for 10% off your order. If you click the link in the description below, that discount will populate in your cart automatically, and you will get that 10% discount. It will also tell him that you heard about him from us on the For Future Generations podcast. So we'd really appreciate it. But thank you, Days Volt Lapel Pins, for sponsoring the show. We love you. We thank you. You're the best.
And they didn't pay us extra for this, but I got a jingle incoming at some point. So.
All right. Yeah. We've got we love to support our friends, and our friends love to support us, because you know what? We're all brothers here, and it's great. It's absolutely great. So thank you, Days Full of Pelpins, for sponsoring the show. And back to the news. Sean, did you hear about this debate?
You know, I had said on Twitter, I said I had to consult the group chat to even know what debate people were talking about. And I kind of wish I had not gotten an answer, because it was actually, I will say this. Let me say this. Dale Partridge, that's the gentleman who was fighting for the truth, right?
Fighting for the historical position.
Yeah.
Yes.
His opening statement alone is worth watching, worth listening to.
I mean, the first 30 minutes, it's the introduction and his opening statement. That's all you need. That's really all you need.
I mean, there really wasn't much of a debate after that. I mean, he went in and was like, here's the what he kind of, did you want to pull this up on the stage, or? Yeah,
we can look at the picture while we're at it. This is the three of them.
Yeah.
Looking all suave and debonair.
Would you like to guess which one is arguing against the curse of Ham, just based on the picture alone? which of these men is most likely?
Which of these austere gentlemen?
Yeah.
Which Mr. Say, I see you don't have a suit jacket there, no lapel pin. Maybe you want to get a jacket, get a lapel pin. Spruce up a little bit. But both of these gentlemen, Pastor Hames and Pastor Partridge, have pins, I believe, from Days Full Lapel Pins. I'm not real sure what that is that Partridge is wearing, but it could be one of the less familiar. I don't know. Maybe that's his own. But yeah. So, Sean, you were saying about the introduction and his opening statement.
I mean, what Josh Hames had to say wasn't worth listening to, but man, dude, like, Partridge's introduction is essentially like, here's what everyone has believed up until very recently.
Mm-hmm.
You could see comments I'm seeing right now where people like pastor in scare quotes. No, he's a pastor.
He's a pastor of a church. You don't get
to decide. You're not the Pope. You don't get to decide who is and isn't a pastor, right? So
he's not disqualified. He's not a woman.
And
right? He's not divorced, nothing like that.
I don't really know what else to say. He laid down the position. He showed where it comes from in Scripture. He talked about which men hold it or have held to it in the past. They've since gone on to glory, but because this guy's like Calvin and Luther and like all the big names, all the heavy hitters you could ever imagine, and he just lays it out, and it's. I mean, what more can you say, man? I mean, it's...
Yeah. And if you're looking for a more full explanation of his position, which he was not obviously able to give, the full definition in his opening statement, there is a video from NXR Studios and Dale Partridge called The Curse of Ham, Finally Explained. And in it, he does an hour-long presentation just of the positive case for this historical position. And does a very good job. But I did want to say, Sean, you said nothing that Joshua Hames had to say was particularly noteworthy. He's the moderator. He's not supposed to be, saying interesting and revelatory things. He's there to make sure that the men are answering questions, staying within their time, and not being unfair to each other, which... There were, and I do want to make a point of this. Samuel Say, several points, made passive-aggressive statements about how if you believe this, you're not a Christian, while his debate opponent was making the case for this position that he says you're not a Christian. he never came out and said, Dale, you're not a Christian. Pastor Partridge, you're not a real Christian. But he alluded to it several times in a very passive aggressive, effeminate, and cowardly manner. And I just want to say, Samuel, do better. Get good. If you're going to make that statement, then make the statement. Don't be a coward. If you're going to say he's not a Christian, then say it. Say it. But he wanted to play footsie with it. He wanted to make accusations without having to stand behind them, which is that's kind of gay. It's kind of gay. But I did want to get into just what were their arguments. So if I were to give the 60-second of Dale Partridge's position on Curse of Ham, what he expressed as the position, the brief summary would be, with the understanding that Reformed believers have, and he's coming from that perspective. He is, I believe, a Presbyterian. If you're coming from the perspective of Reformed theology and covenant theology, covenant theology does not treat all people as rabid individuals. People are members of families, families are members of tribes, tribes are members of nations. And as such, a curse on Ham directly would reflect onto his father, Noah. So Dale's argument is that the curse on Ham's firstborn, Canaan, is a retroactive curse on Ham, and through Ham, all of his descendants, but it is removed from Ham directly and put on Canaan directly and onto Ham and his other descendants secondarily, in order to not reflect onto Noah and his descendants secondarily.
What you have in the curse is it starts with blessed be Shem. Obviously he's the line of Christ.
Exactly.
The line of all the good guys up until Christ. David and all the prophets and everyone in Jesus' line. It goes through Shem.
With a few exceptions. There are some people who are in the Japhethetic line who are positively mentioned.
So based on those blessings, what you essentially have is Shem is going to be the guy. He's going to be my favorite guy. But Japheth is going to dwell in the tents of Shem. So it's kind of this idea of Shem's going to get the blessings, and then Japheth is going to get the blessings of those blessings, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't say anything about Ham.
Mm-hmm.
He says
notably absent.
So he kind of does the in the first season of The Office, there's a guy that gets fired, and there's one guy in particular who got him fired. And so he's like saying goodbye. Well, guys, I got fired. Like, I'll be down at the bar. So if anyone wants to come join me, Jim, Pam, Dwight, like he goes through everyone's name, right?
except
one guy. Yeah. He's like, yep, I think that's everyone. Yep. Okay. I'll see you guys there. Like, Noah kind of does that thing, if you go with Samuel Say's way of it, like, oh no, he's totally blessed, like that, which is part of that was a crazy argument. But anyways, so what Noah's actually doing is he does bless his other two sons. He only got 3 sons. He blesses the first 2 sons, doesn't say anything about the third son, but notably curses the son of that third son. And so the argument that Dale Partridge was going with, which isn't super essential to it, but it's a good answer, I had never heard this before, is that what he is saying is that what the sin that Ham committed in exposing his father's nakedness was
whatever that means.
He had intercourse. This is the argument.
Okay,
It's got historical precedent. Other like wise men have taught this, that it means that Ham had intercourse with Noah's wife, which would be Ham's own mother. and that's what it means when he exposed his father's nakedness, and that the child who came out as a result of that is none other than Canaan. So that is why Canaan receives the curse directly, because he is the offspring, he is the result of that sin. So I think that's fine to believe. I think that makes sense of, because what Dale did was he went to the law, went to Mosaic law and said, okay, well, how is that phrase used elsewhere? And essentially what you have is when they talk about adultery or types of incest, they'll say, you shall not sleep with your mother. It's your father's nakedness. And so
you shall not lie with your mother. You are uncovering your father's nakedness. It's literally the same phrase.
Yeah. So there's precedent for that, right? Like in Judges where, and this is something even Calvin has noted, like in Judges where it says multiple times that there's no king in the land and every man did what was right in his own eyes. And everyone says, oh, that just means lawlessness. Well, no, like in Mosaic law, it says that, at some point you're going to ask for a king. I'm going to give you a king. And then I'm going to give you a specific place where you can worship God with sacrifices. Until then, everyone will just do what is right in his own eyes. So there's a history to a phrase that if you don't know that history, you're going to be like, oh,
what is he talking about?
I'll just assume what it means. But what you have is that, Dale Partridge is making the argument that Ham had a child with his own mother, and that child was Canaan, and that's why Canaan receives that curse. The problem is, so what Say does in the debate is he says, you can't curse somebody who's been blessed, and Ham has already been blessed. And everyone else watching is like, what on earth are you talking about?
Two problems with that. One, Ham has not been blessed.
Yeah.
Two, you can be cursed and blessed simultaneously. Those things are not mutually exclusive. No. Obviously, and I think this is something that Dale should have brought up, and he kind of alluded to it in the question and answer. So he was aware of it. He just didn't make hay with it like I think he probably should have. Of course, I wasn't there doing it, so I'm not throwing shade at Partridge. But David, there is nobody in the Old Testament more blessed by God than David. And David is directly cursed because of his sin with Bathsheba. And that curse causes his family to have civil war in his own lifetime. The child, the illegitimate child of David and Bathsheba, is killed, and there are later civil wars because of the sin of David. His child is cursed, and he is cursed. And those things happen simultaneously with the abundant blessings that David received at the hands of God. Yeah. So the argument that, well, he can't be cursed because he's blessed. He's blessed. He can't be cursed because he's blessed. I mean, it's just the argument.
Well, and his argument that Ham was blessed, he says, well, if you go back to the garden, it says, be fruitful and multiply. And Ham had children. So he can't be cursed because he's blessed with children. I would say, well, who else?
Nobody's been cursed.
Yeah, but who else obviously was blessed with children is Canaan. Because the Canaanites are the people who get kicked out of Israel when they come in, and so it's just it's so crazy. Like, he's just all over the place with this stuff, and you could tell. I mean, there are people who in the comments, whatever, they're just like, "You go, dude! You fight those racists, woo!" But it's like, guys, like this isn't serious argumentation.
Not a good argument.
If anything, Ham is cursed by just not getting that blessing.
By being omitted.
By just it's a curse through omission. So, but his own son is directly mentioned. So it's just such a crazy thing. Like he tries to go into like, well, Africa used to have civilizations, and Dale's just like, bro, that was thousands of years ago. And and Samuel says just like, yeah, but it was like the first 3,000 years of world history. Like, it wasn't centuries, it was millennia. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this dude. Like, do you guys not understand? First of all, sub-Saharan Africa is a completely different world from North Africa. I don't think they understand that when we bring that up. This guy you see on your screen, the only guy who obviously has descendants from Africa because he is from Africa. That's not what North Africans look like. I always bring this up. Like, we talk about like the history of racism. You have to start at the point of what did these two distinct races look like before they clashed? Right? Because they'll say like, oh, colonialism and all this. No. 5 seconds before they met, what did they look like? Because sub-Saharan Africa did not have the wheel or the copper age. They're just so far behind. They're Stone Age people without the wheel. So they weren't even the Flintstones. They didn't even have the car that you move with your feet yet. Like, that's how far behind they were. It's just, he wants so bad to just be like, no, dude, Africa's dope. I would also say, I guess is my real last thing to say on it. Dale Partridge got some good swipes in there about like what it means to be a Canadian, because yeah, he was basically like, well, obviously you're not a Canadian, like obviously you're an African. I thought that was apropos.
Yeah, and it was very interesting. He tried to ask a gotcha question. Would you allow your children to marry interracially? And Partridge gave a very nuanced answer, which was neither yes nor no. But then, completely neglecting the fact that Dale Partridge is in an interracial marriage. I mean, he is married to a Hispanic wife. So he's obviously not opposed to it.
Yeah, all the best racists are.
Yeah, because never ask a racist what ethnicity his wife is, right?
Yeah.
That's a running joke. Yeah. But obviously he's not opposed to it enough to dissolve his own marriage, and right. Or to enter into it originally. So he's obviously not opposed to it in that sense. But then he kind of turns around and asks the same question back of Samuel, and he's like, so what is your position on that? And Say doesn't really answer the question, and he says, well, because I'm a Canadian, I want my kids to marry Canadians. But Say, if you're a Canadian, what does that even mean? I mean,
it means he's a Canadian in the way that people in the army would use it as a euphemism, so you didn't know we were talking about Canadians.
Yeah. I mean,
that was actually there is a big thing. I forget which restaurant that erupted in, but that was like a thing some years back when people finally figured out that it was a dog whistle for black people, and they didn't like hearing that, because there would be like, why do none of the servers want to serve Canadians? I don't understand. What's going on? Like, and then they figured out, that's when.
This is some deep lore with which I am unfamiliar, but that's very interesting.
Dude, it goes back so far, yeah.
But but anyway, to answer the question, I mean, he would not answer the question. He said something kind of funny about Nigerians, like, I don't want them to marry Nigerians because they can't cook. It's like, wow, Say, that was kind of racist.
Yeah.
I can't believe you'd say something like that, but it's okay for him to say it because he's black. He's allowed to do that, I guess.
Right.
But if we said, well, sub-Saharan Africans can't cook, everything they make looks like dung, That would be very racist. Can't say that.
Yeah. What I really wish Dale would have said was, well, I certainly wouldn't want my daughter to marry an African that can't understand a simple argument.
Yeah. I mean, that might have been kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He was very patient and kind in what he put up with, because Say was very much throwing some pot shots. Say was very much doing the pietistic, well, I am stepping down from my African throne to debate this racist who is obviously lesser than me. Mm-hmm. And I will bring myself down to his level to show that his arguments are not as good as my post-war consensus. But like I said, I mean, like, really the only bit of substance that came out of that debate was Dale's opening argument. I mean, it wasn't like it was hateful. It wasn't like he was just like like there's a scene, I forget, they might have redone it in the Now for Something Completely Different movie, but there's a sketch where it's like the fork sketch or something, and there's like a dirty fork, and everyone's like freaking out about it. It's in a restaurant, and like the restaurant owner is like, I hate it. Like Dale did not go to Monty Python levels and say how much he hates his opponent, but he was very kind and like, dude, you're not getting it. Like, what this is what everyone's always believed until you people came to Canada and made things complicated. So.
And there were several moments in the question and answer that were interesting. Not the least of which was the fact that Dale would ask questions and Say would just be completely unable to follow the line of reasoning.
He's like, what? Give him back his time. I didn't understand it.
Like, yeah. Give me back my time. I didn't understand. And that's not how that works, sir. If you don't understand, you can ask for clarification, but you don't get your time back.
Well, he was giving, in fairness, he was saying to give Dale back his time, so that because it was Dale's time to cross-examine. Mm-hmm. So he was basically like, "I'm sorry, I can't comprehend what you're saying. So give him back his time. I don't want to." Yeah,
and then during his own questioning time, when he was asking Dale questions, he stumbled over himself and got completely confused, and just trying to formulate a question. Got so confused that he inadvertently said some, obviously, slip of the tongue. He was not intending to, but he said, "I can't think," and a couple of things. He was kind of insulting himself in a way that was not flattering. But it's a debate. It's a pressure situation. I'm not going to try to read into that too much, but it was ironic. But my takeaway from this, Joshua Hames did a very good job of being a moderator. He did not take a position. He said, I don't have a position. I haven't really thought about this. And then he just let the people introduce, let the people talk, and maintain time. And that's what a moderator is supposed to do. He did an excellent job.
I will give him his flowers on that. He definitely knew how to properly just shut up. There's so many moderators. I don't like every James White debate. The moderator just wants to get involved and make something of himself. But Hames was very much like he just turned himself off. I mean, it was very it was nice to see. It was nice to see a moderator actually remove himself from the debate.
So credit to him.
Kudos to you.
And then as far as the two participants, the interlocutors here, Partridge took the opportunity to present a currently very unpopular position, the historically robust position. I mean, this is the position of pretty much everybody throughout church history. And he was not rude to the moderator or to his debate opponent. He came, he presented, he answered questions, and that was it. Say, on the other hand, took this as an opportunity not to present a positive argument or even to negate Partridge's arguments. Really, he took this as an opportunity to just show up and throw shade and cast insults at his opponent in a very, like I said before, in a very passive aggressive fashion. This was not, well, I was about to say this was not his best showing in a debate, but that being said, it actually might be, because he is not a professional debater. He is not good at this. He has done it a couple of times, and he has never shown himself to be eloquent or intelligent in his arguments. And while that can be taken as a slight at him, some people just aren't made for debates, even smart people, which I don't believe Samuel Say is. All right. His Twitter handle is slow to write. People often joke about, I guess he's not slow enough, to the point where just about every post that he makes, somebody will comment that in the comments. Yeah. But even intelligent debaters or even intelligent people, some of them are not good at debate. And if you are intelligent and you realize you're not good at debate, then you won't keep putting yourself in the public eye the way that Samuel Say does and keep embarrassing yourself. It's very unfortunate that he's doing this.
It's very Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah, very, very much. People who are dumb don't realize they're dumb.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is to be as kind to Mr. Say as I can, this is an example. Mr. Say is an example of the token character, right? Yeah. Every movement has to have their tokens, right? Not every real movement, but they seem to all want to have their tokens, men's rights groups always seem to have a female spokesperson for some reason. They have a female spokesman, which doesn't make any sense, right? Racist groups will allegedly racist groups will immediately scrounge around to find some Black or Hispanic member, or the real key is if you can get a Black Hispanic woman, then you can really make that your spokesman.
Like our in the UDC, the local UDC chapter has a very prominent Black woman. She's great, by the way. Like, she's very good. She gives very good presentations. She's a great person, but yeah, she does fill that role. Like, she is the person that can say the things that we want to say, and that on this show I often do go too far in saying, but she can say them because she's a Black woman. And hey, I get it. Like, that's your weapon, right? That's the weapon.
And utilize as you can and as you need to, as you find it necessary to do so. But when you start entering into those kind of strategies, one of the things that does occur is that you will elevate somebody beyond their capacity. Yeah. And that is definitely where Say he is a DEI hire for the evangelical Reformed right. And that is unfortunate, because he is not capable of writing and arguing in a coherent manner. But he gets all of this play because everybody wants him to represent them.
I would also say in formal debate, this is the last thing I really have to say on this. I've said on the show before, I was captain, I was like co-captain of my debate team in high school. Like, I was big into debate. And essentially what Say does every single debate, all throughout the entire debate, is what's formally known as a point of personal privilege. And essentially it's something that your opponent can call you out on. If, for instance, let's use this exact case. He is essentially using that he is Black and married to a white woman. Both of those, he uses those constantly as a way to argue Like, so there's not an actual argument. There's just, well, wait a second. As a black guy in a interracial marriage, like, I find that offensive. Well, I find that offensive isn't an argument. It's just you using a personal perspective. Or, you know, like we had a debate one time about one of the topics. This is in high school. We were talking about Israel. Talk about like Israel and Palestine and who the land belongs to and all that kind of stuff. And of course, there's the one guy who's like, well, as a Jew, immediately, nope, that's a point of personal privilege. He can't do that. Check. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like in a formal debate, right? Like there's rules to that. And it's, you know, I know that most people on the internet listening to this are just knuckleheads, but for people like myself who watch him do that, it's like, dude, you're not even debating at that point. You're just you're doing the won't somebody think of the children? It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And my takeaway from this debate is that you know, I personally think that the historical Christian position on the curse of Ham is correct. However, like I said in this Twitter back and forth, you don't need the curse of Ham to explain modern Africa because you don't need a biblical blessing to explain modern Japan. People pointed out in the post-op, in the post-mortem of this debate, you know, this debate was really a way of addressing an issue indirectly that nobody wants to address directly, which is that if you look at modern Africa and modern Africans, their behavior is not the same as modern Europeans. And when Africans find themselves in a European society, their different behavior, their different predilections cause them to be incompatible. But if you say that out loud, you're a big meanie fatso. So you have to hem and haw and justify your positions biblically and historically. When reality strikes, I mean, we can see the IQ charts. We know how they work. Testable, observable, repeatable. People get upset about it. Doesn't change the fact that it's true. Also, irrational violence. We actually can see the gene that makes people react irrationally violent. And Africans have it, and other people do not. Or at least not to the same extent. That is not to say that other people can't be irrationally violent. That is not what's being said. What is being said is that observably, testably, repeatably, these traits are seen and observed. But if you say that, you're a bad person. So we have to hem and haw and debate minor points and do all of this because we can't address the issue head on. You don't need this argument. You do not need the curse of Ham argument. You can just look at modern Africans, look at modern Europeans, look at modern Orientals, look at Australian Aboriginals who are huffing gasoline and, you know, completely incapable of being functioning members of their society. And that's not to say everybody isn't. Obviously, there are highs and lows to every group. One of my favorite Supreme Court justices is, of course, a black man who is married to a white woman and lives in a gated community of mostly white people. Because when you have these high-functioning African Americans, Africans in general, what they do is they immediately run away from the society of their kin because they find it distasteful, as does everybody else. And we need to just be honest about that. I think this was a healthy debate. I think it was helpful to some people who are formulating their opinions, but it isn't as helpful as a just, blatant, obvious, truthful observation of the facts could have been. But hopefully it will pave the way for that. So, should you watch the debate?
your white pill is they are sending their best. This is the best they got. Yeah, watch that opening statement and watch everything go down like a lead balloon, man. Like it's just
it's well, should you watch the debate? I would say it is not necessary. If you're interested in Partridge's position, what he has to say, what he believes, you can watch his video from NXR Studios on YouTube. He gives a very thorough explanation of his position. If you want to hear Samuel Say's position, Samuel Say is not even the best, explainer of that. You can find other people online that are going to do a better job of representing the new post-war consensus, Ham was not cursed position.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I appreciated Hames for putting this on. I think it will be helpful. Point people to this if they are amenable to reason. If they're not amenable to reason and argumentation, do not waste your time. Don't waste your time arguing with people who are irrational, because it's not a good use of your time. Don't waste your time doing things that are not worth your time. Very straightforward. Very straightforward. So with that being said, let's hit comments real quick, and then we'll get into the Lindsay Clancy story. So Reasonable Thinker says, as I was saying in the live chat during the debate, Japhethites and Shemites are ruling over and oppressing Africa via the UN. Very true. Very true. And in that post that I made on Twitter where I said you don't need the curse of Ham to explain Africa, just like you don't need a biblical blessing to explain Japan, people were very quick to point out Japanese people are Japhethites. So they're not Hamites. There are some people who argue that they are Semites, but that has not historically been the position that people take, and the evidence for that is scanty. But the curse is that you will serve your brothers and you will be a perpetual slave class in their societies. And everywhere that Africans interact with other people's societies, that has been the historical pattern. And that is not a value judgment. That is a statement of fact. All right. That is not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing. That is not saying that people should oppress Black people and treat them badly. That is just saying that has been what has happened historically. A Reasonable Thinker again says, however, it is being blessed by Japheth and Shem via the gospel. Either way, Ham is serving or being ruled by the other two. If you look at colonialism has elevated Africa in ways that since colonialism they have not achieved.
That was something that Dale mentioned in there too, because Samuel Say was Jesus juking the entire way through that debate, and he was like, "You're not, you're supposed to be a servant as a Christian. Like that's how you be a Christian. So, like the cursed people aren't going to be servants." And he was like, that like white people have served Africa through trillions of dollars of aid, like multiple times the amount that was given to Germany after World War II to
help rebuild
their economy. Mm-hmm. What did they call that? The Sherman something or?
I think I'm getting my lines crossed because it's not the Morgenthau plan, but But anyway, the rebuilding efforts in Europe, which were not just exclusively for Germany, it was Germany and France and the Netherlands, Poland. These places got lots and lots of money to help rebuild them after the war, and England as well. And Africa has had hundreds times that since World War II, and it still looks like Africa. And the reason is because it's full of Africans. That's just not trying to be mean.
What drives me nuts? Like I've been listening to a lot of Scandinavian history stuff lately for obvious reasons, and people will try not in the books I'm reading, but like people will try to take what Viking Age Scandinavians lived in and try to compare that. See, they lived in straw huts just like Africans, right? Like they were just a backwards people until Christians showed them how to use 3-tab shingles or whatever crazy thing they say. No, they had thatched roofs. Thatched roofs is not the same as a house made out of mud and straw. No, it's not the same. That's a whole rabbit hole, but it just comments made me think of it.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought was very funny a while ago, there was a guy on Instagram, black guy, who's putting on lipstick at the beginning of his video. So, gay black guy says, "People, Africans live in mud huts, the mud huts," and then he shows pictures of mud huts. But supposedly, these are eloquent mud huts and well-built ones, obviously versions of the very best ones that exist. But they're all mud huts. They're not made out of stone. They're not made out of clay, or they're not made out of baked clay bricks.
Yeah,
they're
even the really
raw
famous
mud,
like the famous Ethiopian chamber special thing. Like they have to replace the mud on that all the time.
Every 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, not sophisticated. People pointed that out, and then his response to that was, well, look at all these buildings in Africa. We're obviously developed countries, and then he shows a bunch of buildings that were built by Englishmen, which wasn't helping his argument there either. Yeah, colonialism has been nothing but good for the African. The only people who have a legitimate reason to complain about colonialism are the Afrikaners, the South African Dutch, who the English did not treat well at all and murdered millions of them through unjust war. So, you've got nothing to complain about. India was vastly better under English rule than it has been since. And even India is not nearly as bad as Africa with all of the problems that India has. They have a functional government. They have, a functioning society and culture that goes back thousands of years, whereas Africans do not, because they didn't even have a written language until Europeans gave that to them. Last comment for now. Reasonable Thinker says, what is Sean eating?
Sean is eating some blessing of Japheth here. It's ice cream. Because I'm a Hyperborean and I can eat milk products without turning them into cheese first. This is, my wife made this with her Ninja Creamy is the name of the thing. So this is the thing.
Yeah, that's a little bowl.
Yeah. So this is the container, and then some kind of thing mixes it up, and it's homemade ice cream. That's what it is. It's vanilla. It's the white man's flavor. It's the most rare. Right. It is the most rare spice. Would it come out? It's the most difficult flavor to get on Earth. Like the vanilla bean is just very rare, and I mean, I'm sure we figured it out now, but traditionally, vanilla is an extremely hard thing to get.
And now it's ubiquitous.
Yeah,
vanilla and saffron, the two most complicated and difficult flavors. And European cuisine has been full of them for thousands of years. Yeah, so all the people who say white people don't season their food, not true. We've been seasoning it for a very long time. You just don't recognize it as seasoning because it doesn't come in a shaker bottle, all dried out in a powder. Not all seasonings are dried out in a powder, actually. Crazy. All right. Well, let's get into the Lindsay Clancy affair. So, Sean, I was made aware of this by scrolling Twitter, as with most of my news. That's where I tend to get it. And it's not so much the story itself as the reaction to the story that is so newsworthy. I mean, there have been examples of parents murdering their children since time immemorial. Right? This is not new. But just to set the stage for folks who are maybe not familiar, Lindsay Clancy is this woman here that you see, and this is the PBS write-up. As the Lindsay Clancy case highlights postpartum psychosis, a mom stricken by it shares her story of hope. What? This woman strangled her 3 children to death, aged 5, 3, and 1, with exercise bands, by the way, which are not a great thing to strangle people with. This would have been a procedure that took several minutes, and she is looking them in the face and smelling their breath and hearing their chokes and feeling their heartbeat the entire time she's doing it.
One at a time, by the way.
One at a time.
Like, crazy, dude.
Yeah, this is not somebody that deserves our condolences. But, she had postpartum depression, though, so I guess it's okay. And she killed her 3 children and then tried to commit suicide by slitting her own throat. She was unsuccessful. She stabbed herself in the neck, slashed her wrists, and then jumped out of a second-story window. She is now paralyzed because of that, and has been appearing in the court in a wheelchair because she has lost the use of her lower body. But none of her children survived. She was discovered by her husband, who came home, found her on the lawn, called the police, and then walked into the house while still on the phone with 911 and discovered his children one by one murdered in his house. And I
had read one of them hadn't died yet by the time he found them.
Yeah.
So he got to watch that one die.
Yeah, and when he found his son, he was crying, my buddy, while holding him, dead in his arms. This woman is not a victim. This woman is a monster who should be put to death. No punishment is too severe for what this woman has done to those children and to her husband. But the reaction from TikTok wives and moms has been just absolutely shocking. And here's a video outside the courthouse. Women and men in pink rally in support of Lindsay Clancy at her trial for killing her 3 children. And this is what this fat bitch has to say about it. Let me turn that volume up so you can hear it.
We're here to send one message, and that message is that it should not take tragedy for people to start paying attention to mental health.
And I organized the Stand in Peace for Lindsay event today at the Plymouth Superior Courthouse. I originally organized it because there was just one day in court that Lindsay was in shambles and I couldn't stop thinking about her. We had hundreds of people here at the courthouse today, women and men dressed in pink in support of Lindsay and to raise awareness for postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, and mental health crisis all over the world.
It was wonderful to see so many women come together to support such a wonderful cause. I think that the intention of gathering today was strictly to show our support. We wanted Lindsay, her legal team, and the public to know that regardless of what happened in that house in January of 2023, we understand that Lindsay asked for help and it was not given. And as women, we understand that that was a failure. And regardless, she deserved better.
I know she appreciates the outpouring of support from all these people. It's amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. All this support that she's getting. This woman who murdered her children. And I forgot to pull it up, but the other Wolf, not Stephen Wolf, but William Wolf, posted on Twitter. He said, maybe the reason that all these women are so supportive of another woman who murdered her children is because they already murder their children to the tune of millions a year.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is the inevitable result of abortion. If abortion is okay, then, what's wrong with a woman murdering her children after they're born?
Yeah. It's like how we say pro-life for the whole life. I don't say that, but like Ted Cruz will say that, right? To justify like welfare programs, whatever. But I mean, they believe pro-choice for the whole life, like pro-choice until death. You can just kill the kid whenever you want to kill it. If your child makes you sad, that's postpartum psychosis. You have gone crazy, and you have to. You're hearing voices, and you got to listen to the voices.
Yeah. So, not good. Not good at all. here is a very interesting aspect to this, because people keep saying, "Oh, well, she had depression. She didn't have the support she needed. She deserves our sympathy because she was just going through so much." And this individual, Lawsy B, whoever that is, just posted this, and I thought it was a very good synopsis of the situation. Patrick Clancy, that's the father, worked from home full-time specifically to support Lindsay. Lindsay Clancy's husband paid for her two oldest children to be in daycare. He also paid for a nanny that looked after the baby 3 days a week. And the feminists blamed the husband. What more could this man whose children were murdered have done to support her? Many men wouldn't have hung around, but he loved her. She also has a big support network of multiple therapists, psychiatrists, her parents, his parents, and other friends and family. And yeah, that's very true. You know, all these people saying she wasn't getting the support she needed. How much support is enough support? What do you need? What do you need?
Also, in addition to this, I don't know if you have the whole list out. It's not super important, but the idea that she got too much, or what did they say? She didn't get help. She didn't get enough help. No, she got too much help. That's the problem. The experts had their way with this woman. She had all the psychiatrists. She was on more drugs than Elvis Presley in 1977. I mean, she was just loaded and on all the therapy, and she had everything that the best experts, in scare quotes, experts can give. And then people have the gall to blame the psychiatrist for doing all that. And so, I mean, I blame the psychiatrist, but these are also the same people that are like, no, that's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you treat it. Sometimes it works that way. Yeah, some people go crazy, but sometimes those pills work. Well, you're altering. Like there's some not antipsychotics. What am I trying to think? They're antidepressant type things, but they don't like mess with your wiring the way that some of these crazy psychiatric drugs do. For instance, I and many veterans are on bupropion. Bupropion is a drug that stops your body from evacuating the feel-good chemicals. It doesn't create any new chemicals. It stops your body from like basically like my body naturally wants to say, hey, that's some nice dopamine. Let's get rid of that. And then just doesn't hold on to the dopamine because it's a PTSD thing. Like it's not, my body created life. I just gave birth, which is the single greatest thing that any person on earth can experience, whether you're a man or a woman, that having children is, I mean, that's as far as like the human experience outside of like, obviously religious experiences, like maybe your baptism was particularly powerful or something like that. But having kids like that's like the epitome of human experience. Not climbing Everest, not visiting all 30 baseball parks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's having kids. And what these women on TikTok are trying to do is say that being a mother is enough to make you crazy, which that was a big thing I took offense with this is like, well, wait a second, I'm crazy, right? Like I'm diagnosed as a crazy person, like PTSD. You're a crazy person. I ain't gonna kill my kids, right? I already had to go through all this when I was in college on the GI Bill. It was like, well, that's the veteran, the veteran guys sitting in the back over there, because there'd be like me and a couple other guys in the back of some of these classes. Oh, those crazy guys have these understandings of history that, we who just got out of high school, we don't buy into that. And they would just play like basically that's the crazy section back there. So I've already gone through that stigma. Like, that's actual stigma. Saying that giving birth to children is not an excuse for killing your children. That's not stigma. She had all the help she could get as far as what these same people wearing pink, believe is good, like what they would call help. Like, I would say that you need Christ. Like, you need to get in a church. You need a good pastor. You need to be given the gospel and the sacraments. Whereas these people are saying she needed more help. What, more pills? Like, should she have tried marijuana a little bit? Probably, compared to some of the crazy stuff that they put her on. I don't know, man. There's just so many emotions when I see this. It's one of those as a father moments, right? You want to talk about point of personal privilege. As a father, you know how hard it's been for guys like me, and Jeff, I won't speak for you, but I'm sure you've thought about it, where it's, you leave the house and you're just like, what am I about to come home to? Like you're just, for me, it's been all week. Like, I trust my wife, but at the same time, I'm sure this guy trusted his wife. And now you're just wondering, like, is every woman in America about to pull this off? Because we've already seen some copycats.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yeah, and we will cover one of those later in the show. But the very worst thing to come out of this entire situation, other than the murder of these children,
I was gonna make the Norm Macdonald.
Yeah,
I thought the worst part was the murder.
Yeah, no, but other than the murder, but the reaction to it has been very eye-opening and very troubling, because you have TikTok moms going absolutely crazy. Here is a TikTok video that some woman posted. She's about to be jailed for life for something her husband did. 234,500 likes from women online who are convinced that actually Patrick is the one who murdered these children, and he's just tricked this poor, foolish woman into thinking she did it. You know, he actually strangled the kids. He stabbed her in the neck and threw her out the window, and then she just forgot all about it. And now he's convinced her that she did it, because her lawyers have not said that she didn't do it. She has admitted to having done it in court. That is not a question, but several hundreds of thousands of women are convinced that he did it. Why? Because I said so. And there was one video where one woman was saying, I was reading her lips and she was saying, he did it, despite the fact that that video had sound and you could have listened to what she was saying, and she was not saying he did it. You know, they're just convinced that this woman couldn't have murdered her children. Actually, it was the big bad man who did it. And William Wolf points out 234,000 likes on this, which means we have to assume there are millions of women across America right now watching the Lindsay Clancy trial who are convinced that her husband actually did it. This is actually a serious problem for society. And yes, that is the biggest problem that we have right now, is this trial has revealed that there is a psychosis of women who want to be allowed to murder their own children and then blame everybody else for it. That is their goal. That is their desire. We are going to murder our children and blame you. We are going to murder our children and blame men, because we couldn't possibly be held accountable for our actions. And that's pretty disturbing. Some women on TikTok who are into astrology say that Lindsay Clancy couldn't have killed her children because she's a Leo, saying her now ex-husband Patrick Clancy did it because he's a Gemini, born June 14th, and that's Donald Trump's birthday. Yeah, and so here you have this idiot woman with 10 million piercings in her head, and the septum piercing, which tells you everything you need to know about her. She just goes on for 5 minutes talking about how, no, because of her astrology, she's not guilty at all. I know because he's a Gemini. Like, I don't even know what I am. I'm not going to look it up because that is not something that interests me. We are forbidden by Scripture to indulge in witchcraft, and that's all that is. All right, that is women doing witchcraft. Uh, your star signs and abortion are witchcraft. All right, and that's what our country is full of, is women who are all into star signs and all into murdering their own children.
When I was in the Army, this had to have been 2012-ish. Up until that point, I knew enough about science and history when it comes to astrology that I'm not going to say astrology is based on real science, but like the position of the stars is actual science. That it changes how you act is not actual science, but I knew enough that, like, being growing up, for whatever reason, my teachers thought that was important to mention what time of year it was in the calendar. So I knew growing up that that I was considered a Aquarius, but I had one teacher that was smart enough to be like, now guys, like these times of the year, that lines up with what the stars were at the time of ancient Greece. That is no longer their positions anymore.
Oh no!
Thousands of years. So I already knew that the sun goes through a very different part of the calendar than what these women would get like tattooed on their body somewhere. And then around 2012, they came out and was just like, "Hey guys, the calendar actually changed. So we're gonna all go with that now." But this article, because this one girl that we were in the Army with, she was like freaking out about it, right? Like,
oh
no,
because she built her entire life on
this.
Like
this is all I have. And like at the bottom of whatever article she first Googled was like, but don't worry, that's only for it's only for newborn people, like that it's changing for. And like I explained the whole science to her and I was like, no, it's always changing. Yeah. You were never whatever sign it used to be. That doesn't make sense. So for all you idiots out there that try to be like, oh, it's for the stars are for times and for seasons, so we have to have astrology, whatever. People were basing their whole life on that stuff without even knowing the correct sign or why the signs make any sense. Like Leo is an actual, it's supposed to look like a lion. It doesn't, because it's like 5 stars, but
right.
Like 5 stars isn't going to look like a lion. But that's where the sun goes through the night sky if you superimpose it over the other one. But that doesn't change. It doesn't define who you are in any way.
No, it does not.
Unless you play hockey. That actually does. There's an interesting history to that. But
well, we'll leave that on the table.
Yeah.
Let's see. This guy, arms dealer for the soul, Noah Ravoy, don't know anything about him, but he had a good write-up on this. He says, I told my wife what is going on social media with the Lindsay Clancy story. First off, big win to you that your wife does not know firsthand. I had to tell my wife today about the whole situation, and her reaction was completely in line with ours, which is that woman should die. But he says this was her response. She sounds like a serial killer. There is no way someone could methodically and calmly murder their children like that if they were not deeply evil. I think she was planning this for months. She got all the prescriptions she did not take as cover, which she was not taking her prescriptions, that is known. Her diary was cover. She was manufacturing a story. This cannot be the first time she did something like this. They should be checking into her past. It often starts smaller with them murdering animals and they work their way up. Then I told her, well, she used to be a nurse. My wife said, I wonder how many patients she killed. My wife is a pretty good judge of character. It would not be a bad idea to investigate these things. Now, I want to say, first off, right off the bat, this is presented without evidence. This is speculation. But we should probably look into that. Because if somebody does something like this, who was responsible for keeping people alive in a hospital, might want to look into, maybe she probably killed some people at that hospital. Worth looking into. Roman Helmet Guy, good dude, give him a follow. He's got very good historical takes. He says, generally, I have no theory of mind for why the Nepo baby daughter of a hated... let me show you the video first. Oh, this is unrelated. I was going to save this for the end of the show. But since I already picked it up, we'll grab it. Why are young men ditching the workforce? Is there any way to bring them back? So this blonde girl, who's Jewish, by the way, makes this entire video about how
not naturally blonde.
Yeah, not naturally blonde. Makes all this video about how white men are leaving the workforce. And he says, I have no theory of mind why a Nepo baby daughter of a hated 100 billionaire who lobbied for all his life for open borders and offshoring and every other possible policy that could destroy the careers of promising young men would use daddy's money to get herself a public-facing job at the Wall Street Journal just to make a breathless video like this, pretending not to understand why, after being discriminated against all their lives and forced to compete with every foreigner on earth to own even an inch of the American soil that is their birthright. An increasing number of young American men would rather burn the entire system to the ground than contribute to a society that proclaims they themselves and their ancestors be the source of all worldly evil and has dedicated itself to their destruction. That being said, young men, do not drop out, do not give up hope. The only way out is through. This woman... the Koch or Cook family. These are the same people who flooded the what is that mountain range in Pennsylvania on down to North Carolina? I'm forgetting what it's called. But this is the same family that flooded this area full of drugs for people to get addicted to. And, now all of a sudden people can't, get a job. What's going on there? Nobody knows. But like I said, I was going to say that for the end of the show, but this is where I was wanting to go next. Seamus, infamously of the Freedom Tunes on YouTube, he makes really good cartoons, fun stuff. Subscribe, watch his videos. They're very interesting. But she was mentally ill. Oh, shoot, really? I thought she was one of those psychologically healthy child murderers.
Yep.
Just pointing out the obvious, which is, people who kill children in general are not probably rational, psychologically healthy, good people. That's not how that works.
The thing is, the justification that, speaking of Curse of Ham, circling back to Genesis 9, I believe it is in the if you shed the blood of man, by man shall your blood be shed, because man was made in the image of God. The justification for the death penalty for murder is that the person who is the victim of murder was made in the image of God, and therefore the murderer must be put to death, him or herself. So
that's God's standard.
That's God's standard. I don't care what I don't care that they didn't understand what they were doing. This isn't a negligence thing. You don't strangle children with exercise bands because oopsie-daisies didn't have enough training, or I drank that morning and fell asleep with my exercise bands and accidentally strangled these kids. Like, it's not negligence. It's an active use of the will to strangle these kids like she did. So she has to die. She has to be removed. You have to purge the evil from your midst. How many times does that show up in God's law? Purge the evil from your midst. That's why we kill people who kill people. All right. This isn't like a war, right? Well, we had to defend our people from the invading Huns or whatever. This is it all circles back to what has God commanded you to do in order to have a healthy nation, to have a healthy people. You have to purge the evil from your midst. There is no, well, she wasn't competent to stand trial. Well, we know she did it. We know what God's standard is.
Yeah, and one thing that people are pointing out, which I think is a very good observation, is that insanity should not be a plea for clemency. If you are so insane that you kill people, you should be put to death anyway. Like that is a danger to society. That is a moral ill that should be persecuted. And the idea that, oh, well, you were incompetent to stand trial or whatever. The idea that, you shouldn't have to face consequences for your action because of insanity. No, that if you are the kind of insane that strangles people to death, you should be put to death.
That's right.
For the good of society and for the good of yourself. Right? It is not good for your soul for you to go murder people because you're insane.
Yep.
All right. And maybe a gallows noose will bring you back to your senses long got to repent and believe so that you don't have to spend an eternity in flames.
I got the rope right here.
I got the rope right here. That scene has been being played on Twitter all week long, and it's glorious. I love it. I am not a TV watcher, but the clips that I see of Boondocks really classic. I mean that really is a very, very funny show. But
should I while you're saying this show the people at home how to
maybe don't do that just for the live stream, because I know if you show guns on live streams and things like that you get booted and banned and things. So maybe we'll save that for the after show.
There you go.
But a Womp Tomp, who follow him on Twitter, follow him on Instagram, TikTok if you're there. This guy is very excellent. He's a Catholic, so I don't agree with all of his religious takes, but his political takes are second to none. He's excellent. But he says, bitches will rationalize triple child homicide because hormones are some shit, then still demand the right to make political decisions.
I got your political decision right here, buddy.
Yeah. He's got a point. These women are all like, women should be allowed to vote. I can't believe you want to cancel the 19th. Also, strangling your children to death because you had some postpartum hormones. Women just be crazy, man. Women just be crazy. You need to be nice to us because we're just hormonal machine. We're just hormonal monsters. You can't expect us to behave like civilized human beings. Also, we should be allowed to vote.
That's the big thing that I've been pushing, and I know that upset a lot of people that I talked with in person, which is probably not something you should talk about with people in person. But,
how do we friends influence people?
Yeah, like this one. Yeah, this one guy was doing the pietistic weak men who create hard times type thing, where he's like, we as men, we need to understand that our wives go through some crazy stuff in pregnancy, and like basically, I was like, dude, like I understand. If I could sum up your position, it's that women ontologically have serious mental issues that need to be addressed. And I'm not touching that with a 30-foot pole. And he's like, that's not what I was saying. I was like, no. You were just saying that women, by the nature of what they do, are crazy, and it's not their fault. and we need to better address how crazy women are. Oh, no, I didn't say it like that. Yeah, I know. But that's what you're saying, though, right?
Yeah, you didn't say that, but that is what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how this relates into other subjects, other topics where, things that are seemingly unrelated, and yet, it comes back around. Well, what do you want? Do you want to be treated special, like the female fragile women that you are, which I will grant, or do you want to have all the same rights and privileges as men? Can't have it both ways. I mean, you've had it both ways for 60 years now, but the bills come and due, and I don't think you're going to like that check when it hits the bank. But here's another quote. Women, our hormones fluctuate so much it's normal to have thoughts of murdering our own children. Same women. If women ruled the world, we'd have world peace. Yeah, we should all have women presidents and women queens. Every country should be ruled by women because we would all be at peace with each other. But also, women have hormones and think of murdering people. Yeah. That's very comforting. And as far as the whole claim that if women ruled the world, we'd have world peace, somebody broke it down historically. And I don't have these numbers to hand, but they looked at it, and the majority of wars throughout history were started by women, either directly as the monarch, or the whole reason the war happened was because of a dispute over a woman. Like, I don't know, Helen of Troy.
Yeah, Trojan War.
The Trojan War, the probably most famous war of all time, at least the most famous war before the modern period. Yeah, the Trojan War was started because a woman couldn't keep her hands off of a hot dude. Yeah, I don't think the solution here is putting women in charge. That doesn't really track. And another point that somebody pointed out, I thought this was worth mentioning. Social media has done to women what police body cameras have done to blacks. Yeah, all these women that you're seeing on TikTok that are like, oh, but she had hormones. Oh, but you can't hold her accountable because she was cray-cray. Oh, but I sympathize with her because I've thought of murdering my children too.
Or the best one, that could have been me. Really? Yeah. That could have been you? Can we lock you up?
That could have been me. Yeah, it's like, well, glad I'm not married to you, bitch.
Yeah.
No, these women just out in public speaking their mind. That's it's revealing your true nature, and your true nature is disgusting, and you are disgusting. And the accountability is going to come for you fast and hard. It doesn't look like I have it pulled up. Sorry, I was a little rushed when it came to putting this together, and some of my stuff is out of order. But Tanner Cartwright, who goes by Tannerite Cortez on Twitter, he had something to say, and if I can't find it real fast, let's see. He's got the jowls. Love that beard. I can't pull this mutton chops look off. My wife would not stand for it, but he's got the face for it. But let's see. Well, anyway, I will sum up. But what he said is, these women, through their actions, are going to create the most sexist society that has ever existed, because we have given women everything they could possibly have wanted. And what have they done? They have murdered our children and ruined our society. And look at this. Look at this. Lines of women all dressed in pink outside the courthouse, waving Mexican flags. What does that have to do with anything? Well, it's connected. It's connected because the people who want to destroy your society, they also want to import millions of foreigners. But it's these women are they're going to create men who absolutely will put up with none of it. And you know what? The bill comes due. The bill comes due. And what are you going to do when it does? This is one of the craziest instances of female post hoc rationalization. What does this insane harpy have to say?
Stop thinking about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for.
Don't think about these smiling children that were murdered as people. All right, don't think about these children, these faces of these children that you're looking at right now, murdered by their demonic mother. Don't think about them as people. Let's hear her full argument.
Stop thinking about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for just 1 second for me, okay?
How about no? I will not be gaslit into dehumanizing the 3 innocent victims while also being asked to humanize the perpetrator, Lindsay Clancy, into being the victim.
I thought that was the whole video, but evidently that's his commentary on the video. Sorry about that. But
I've got to say that
her argument is
his necklace matches the hipster hair thing he's got going on.
This is Elijah Schaefer. Don't trust him as far as you can throw him. I would not trust his confession of faith. But he's claiming to be that because it's popular right now is what my take would be. He's a very interesting, thoughtful character, but he is absolutely degenerate and not trustworthy. But her argument, and I will sum it up, is, well, what if she, if you think about them as pottery and she's a museum curator and she has, Parkinson's and she accidentally drops a vase and it shatters. That's her argument. Oh, she did it accidentally. No, she strangled these children one by one over the course of a half hour with stretchy bands that do not choke people very well. This was not an accident. This was fully intentional. She did it completely of her own free will. I am not going to accept that she is some victim in this scenario. That is not true. It's a lie. Histrionic women, murder apologists, are trying to make her out to be some kind of a victim when she is anything but. And this is from Lawsy B again. This is that copycat killing that you were mentioning. 22-year-old Kaylee Earhart told her partner to say goodbye to the kids. Then she slashed the throats of her 3 young children. Miraculously, the 1-year-old Colton survived and is in the hospital now with his father. Sadly, 5-month-old Ava and 3-year-old Morgan died. The couple had been in the process of separating, and the father feared for the children and had reported to mental health services that Earhart had made threats to harm herself and the children, yet they cleared her to be with the children. Rest in peace to Ava and Morgan. Love and prayers to Colton and the father. And yeah, there is the picture of Colton and Daddy, slashed in the throat, but miraculously survived. And all the best to him. May he live to grow up and be a woman-hating psychopath as he well deserves to be. But anyhow, just absolutely tragic, absolutely disgusting that we're putting up with this kind of behavior. POV, you're a 2-year-old who just asked his mom for a cup of juice while she was making her fake crying postpartum awareness TikTok. Yeah, have you been seeing those videos of the women on TikTok throwing ice in the bathtub?
Yeah.
Because they're so frustrated with their children. I want to murder my children so bad, but instead I'm going to go into the bathroom and throw a temper tantrum because that's actually much better for me. People were pointing out that, taking out your frustration on ice is actually not a good idea. I tweeted about it and I said, this kind of behavior is actually, venting in general is not healthy. because what you are doing is you are training yourself. You are not actually, venting is not a release valve, it's training. And you are training yourself to give in to your anger and your violent impulses. And that is not going to be good. That is not going to be good in the long run, because you are training yourself to behave that way in public when you behave that way in private. What you do in private is what you will do in public eventually. All right, you are teaching yourself. Well, so the entire situation, very depressing. I did not go into and cover the 911 call. We have a transcript. We could go through it. It is nightmare fuel. What this man came home to, no man should have to go through that. This woman, I mean, nothing is too extreme. Blood eagle. Blood eagle. This woman should be killed. She killed the most vulnerable people. The people who were in her care, her own flesh and blood, the people that God gave her to raise, to care for, and to love, and she murdered them. Nothing is too extreme. Nothing is too extreme. So before we end the show, I have a few things that I'll go over that are kind of to lighten the mood a little bit funny, some of them. But before we do that, let's get into some comments. Or did you have some, Sean? Did you have some final thoughts before we hit comments?
Just end her life, get it over with.
Yeah, the longer this goes on, the worse, and the worse for her, actually.
Yeah.
I
don't like the American justice system. I don't like the way that we handle crime. If you have enough evidence, like we don't need to go do the whole song and dance. Like, we know the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Everything feels so procedural and all that. Like, come on, guys. Like, if someone did, it's the same thing with the Austin Riley was the victim's name. That's the only name you really need to know. But the watermelon felon that killed him.
Kylan.
No, don't worry about what his name is.
Yeah.
But he, they dismissed having another trial for him because the judge was like, no, we're not doing that. But what was crazy is, like, what came out was he was texting earlier that day saying how much he hated white people and how he just wanted to kill somebody and like stab somebody and lick the blood off the blade and all this kind of crazy stuff. Oh, and then he went and stabbed somebody that day.
What do you know?
Right? Like,
almost
wow.
like it was premeditated or something.
Yeah. So in a just society, the father could have, let's just say he would fulfill the lyrics of A Beer for My Horses. He would have done one of those. So, but we don't live in that society.
Yeah, and talking about the American justice system and the stupidity of it, the procedural nature of it, that is way too procedural. I really hate this whole alleged shooter thing.
Yeah.
When you have somebody that is caught in the act, admits to having done it, but we haven't had a trial yet, so we can't call him a murderer. We have to call him the alleged stabber or the alleged shooter. No, you saw it with your own eyes, guys. The video is on Twitter. You saw him shoot somebody, and then the cops came up and tackled him to the ground and put him in jail. That is not an alleged shooter. He did it. All right, we know he did it. There is no dispute about it. He is not the alleged killer. He is the killer, and he should be put away. He should be put under the ground. But anyhow, let's get into comments. Yellow Moss says, I disagree with the curse of ham position, but I still want all hams out of my country. It was a fun experiment, but it failed. Time to apply the lessons we learned. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I think that that's something that I mentioned kind of in a roundabout way, is this debate was trying to get at something without addressing it directly, which is you don't need a curse of Ham to explain Africa and African behavior. You can just observe and you can say, okay, these people don't fit in with our society through no fault of their own. I'm not making a moral case here. This is strictly practical. They should be in their own countries under self-rule, and we should segregate. Things were a lot better when we did that. When it's like that poem from Kipling, I believe it is, where he says, my countryman, be he good or ill, I know his faults. His sins are familiar to me. It's not that our people don't commit crime. I mean, we just spent more than half of the show talking about a white woman who murdered her white children. White people do bad things too, but they do it at a different rate and in a different way. And we need to police our own. And we can't be the world's policeman inviting the whole planet to come be in our country so that we can solve their problems for us. That's not our problem. We shouldn't have to deal with that. Foreigners out. Let us have our country back. And you don't need a curse of Ham or some theological position to have that. You can just say, this is my country, get out. You don't need a curse of Ham to explain Africa. You don't need a blessing of Japheth to explain Japan.
Oh, I was just going to have that in the back while you do things.
Yeah. Yellowmoth, you don't have to agree with this theological position. It's esoteric. All right? You don't need to hold to esoteric theological and political positions. You can just say, I want my country back. So thank you, Yellowmoth. Nick Unplugged. By the way, Nick Unplugged has a YouTube channel. Go and follow him. Cool stuff over there.
Right on.
If you're into the kind of stuff that he covers, which is it's varying. It's a variety show, kind of like ours, but very different in scope. But a variety show. This is the same Nick that we have had on our channel. So Nick Barnes, you can look up the interview that we had with him, what his wife put him through. It was absolutely devastating. Thank God she did not murder his children, but she did steal them from him, and he never sees them anymore. So, yeah, lots of bad stuff going on. But he says McClintock treatment is needed. If you've seen that John Wayne movie, which culminates in him giving his wife a public spanking, Some people have been saying. Some people say that domestic discipline is a lacking element in our society. And while I do not practice it myself, I will not condemn it. Yeah. Nick says I am saying that. Don't know what you're in reference to.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was one of those I'm not saying it.
But I may have said I'm not saying XYZ, but you'll say I'm saying that. Yeah, good on you. Good on you. Witches used to be burned. Yes. Yeah. Somebody pointed out on Twitter, it might have been you, Sean. I don't remember who it was that said, the medieval standard for being a witch was having a familiar or hearing voices and talk and murdering children. It was like, that was evidence for witchcraft. And, she's 2 for 2 on that. So, maybe we should bring it back.
Yeah, that's the other crazy part of it. They're like, she was hearing voices. Yeah, I mean, you could say no, right? Like even if
the voices did not compel you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to people who have heard voices, and it's unpleasant, but it doesn't make you do the thing. You can still fight back, especially if you're a Christian. But Nick Unplugged again says women are simultaneously empowered and victims, infinitely empowered and infinitely the victim. Nothing will ever be enough. As we covered, nanny, family, working from home, having babysitters, none of this is ever enough. Nothing will ever be enough. Yeah. Yeah. And then Nick continues, single moms are demons. For the most part. I mean, I'm sure not all blacks, I'm sure there are some single moms who are single through no fault of their own. Actually, there's a family friend of ours whose husband, who was a close family friend of mine, and we were all very shocked when it happened, went off to nursing school. I guess he found some young hot thing, although his wife was very young and beautiful at the time, so I still don't get it. But he just up stakes and ran away, disappeared, absconded, left his wife and 5 children, and just disappeared. And through no fault of hers, she's a lovely woman. She's a wonderful woman. And hopefully, maybe we'll find a good husband someday. But, in general, when we say single mom as a category in the United States, we're not talking about cases of abandonment. We're not talking about widows. What we're talking about, everybody knows when you say teen mom or single mom, what you're actually saying is a hua who couldn't keep her legs together. That's what we're talking about. And yeah, they're awful people. They're awful people.
Can I say on that note,
yeah.
The teenage mom thing. I don't know about you. I won't speak for you, but for me, there were always the girls in high school where it was like, wow, like she's so hot. Like I wish I could, be with that girl, whatever. And then she inevitably becomes teenage
hits the
mom,
wall,
right?
Yeah.
Well, she becomes teenage mom, yeah, and then post haste hits the wall, hits the wall at 200 miles an hour. During that time, there's kind of the like, oh, why me? How come I can never get that girl? Whatever. And there's always like some dumb reason that the single mom to be always has for turning down the guys who actually like want to do something with their lives.
The father of the child who very often actually wants to be part of the child's life.
I don't know what the stats on that are. I'm talking about,
I don't know the statistics. I just know
in high
from
school,
personal experience.
Like one girl I know that I remember asking, like, whatever happened to first of all, which guy was the dad? Because there was conversation about that. And then, like, whatever happened to him? Oh, yeah, this is her first kid. Her dad is in jail still or something like that. Like, oh, okay. But all that to say, like, now that we're on the other side of that and, they're dealing with the outcomes of what they chose to do and all that. It's like,
well, voices did not compel you.
Now it's the, you look back and, well, I told you so. Like, you got to at least let us have that, guys. Like when we dunk on the single moms, like, you chose that guy. Like, unless I will have sympathy for you if you are in an arranged marriage and then the guy leaves you. That would be devastating, right? If you pick a guy who's going to leave you and then he leaves you, oh, but you don't understand. He wasn't like that back then. No, everyone else saw that he was like that back then. You did not see it.
You were the one not listening.
Yes. Yeah. These are the consequences of your actions. So, yes, you can sit there and you say, oh, you're salty and bitter, whatever. I got my family. I got my kids, right? Like,
I'm doing okay.
I'm doing okay, yeah. But I get to say I told you so. That's all I have in that regard, right? I get to avenge high school me by saying, hey, man, one day you get to say, I told you so. So I'm going to say it.
You can't take that away from
me.
Yeah. Check for Tunnel says Austin Metcalf.
You know what's funny? I said Austin Riley because I was thinking of Laken Riley. Laken Riley was the woman who got killed by the Guatemalan or whatever he was, like Venezuelan, whatever illegal, killed a woman.
Sodomized her to death with a corn cob.
So sorry about that. Austin Metcalf is the gentleman's name.
And the killer was Carmelo.
Yeah.
Made up African name. Yeah. Chuck Vertano says the premise behind only saying alleged is that only once a judge declares it is it now real. The murder that you saw didn't happen until a judge says it did.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. And I object. You cannot tell me who are you going to believe, the court or your lying eyes? No, I'm going to believe my lying eyes. Thank you very much. Popes and councils do often err and contradict each other, but my eyes have a pretty good record. Some fun stuff to kind of close out. Kind of a break from all the stress. Scientists can predict people's school grades from their genes, not perfectly, but surprisingly well. Is this, are we saying that this is related to the curse of Ham thing? Maybe tangentially. But GCSE score percentiles, deciles for EA2 polygenic scores. And what do you know? There is a correlation. So, it's a pretty strict correlation right there. Maybe what your grandparents said about, the people that they, maybe all of that discrimination was warranted. But we'll just leave that there. Apropos of nothing. Completely unrelated to that, Gary, Indiana, not having power. So Gary, Indiana has been without power for 11 days. Gary, Indiana is 76% black. Yet another example of environmental racism. It's so effing disgusting. Readers proposed context, still gathering ratings. What is that context, you ask? Well, maybe the context is the entire city council is black. Every electric company executive is black. Black residents won't stop shooting at vehicles working to restore power. And they all blame racism for going without power for so long. What do you know? Look at this.
I thought for sure that top middle there was James White. I thought for sure when you're going through that.
He's got that chrome dome thing going on, although in this case
and
it's
a
not chrome.
Bizarre color of tie. Like that's some stuff that James White would wear. Oh, I got this on my trip to wherever.
Yeah, I will say though, black guys can pull off the colors. I mean, when you see them out there in their different colored suits, like purple suit with an orange shirt and a yellow tie, it's like if I wore that, I would look like a turd. But dude, you're pulling it off pretty good.
You would look like the guys from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, there's definitely a different kind of level that they can pull off there. But you cycle through these and nary a white man
William
to be
Jefferson. Seen. That's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to name my son until my wife was like, "Wait a second, that's Bill Clinton's name."
That's Bill Clinton's name. Well, I mean. No, I'm trust me, baby. I'm naming him after the founders of America.
Yeah.
No, it's for William Wilberforce and Thomas Jefferson. There you go. And then just a news article: shots fired at NIPSCO vehicle during power restoration efforts in Gary. Yeah. Why is it? You see this every time there's a power outage, and the workers come out to fix it. Black people go out and shoot at the people trying to fix the power. It's ubiquitous. I do not understand it. Somebody help me out. But these black communities, and this has happened multiple times. And anytime you see one of those news reports, people were shot at when they were trying to restore power. And then you do your due diligence, and you do the digging, and it's always some black hoodlums. It's like, why? I don't get it. What are you trying to get out of this? Maybe it's turf warfare. Some gang is like, oh, we're going to stop the other gang's area from getting power before ours, so we're going to go shoot the people. I don't know what it is, but it is constant. It happens a lot. It's really, really bizarre. But has nothing to do with anything we talked about previously in this episode.
Twitter has some amazing usernames. That guy's name was Retard Mode.
Yeah, Retard Mode. Yeah. Man,
with a cross.
With a cross. Yeah, just to let you know, I am God's retard. But Elon Musk buying Twitter has been amazing. I saw this. This was wild. This is a Hindu temple in India where they're making a poop statue of a penis inside of the temple and anointing it with their holy water or some such. And Queen says, now I understand why mobile phones aren't allowed in the temple's sanctum. Is this some kind of joke? And Stephen says, not even the most unhinged racist could conceive of a penis made of cow poop in an Indian temple. Yeah, this is just absolutely wild. I mean, the
Indians do the thing that we traditionally say for Jews, where it's like, when I'm in a anti-Semitic propaganda competition, right, and my enemy is Jews' own behavior or whatever, like my opponent.
My opponent is what Jews say on Twitter in Hebrew.
In Hebrew, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like what Indian people do. Like I cannot create in my head.
Yeah.
Indian culture is, how do I want to say this? It's like an Anselm type argument. Like their actual culture is that than which nothing more racist can conceive of. Like that's essentially the definition of Indian behavior.
It is wild. And the thing is, I was a missionary part-time off and on for several years and to India. And there are elements of their culture that I actually do like, but it is pervaded by idolatry and just absolutely disgusting sexual and fecal behavior. It is pervasive, right? I mean, there was a guy who tried to spearhead a campaign about using toilets because open air defecation is such a problem in India. And they killed him. The Indians tracked him down and killed him. Like, that's not to say that there aren't cool things about their culture here and there. I mean, their history is fascinating, the people of India. But and then there are some tribes are better than others. For instance, in the Northeast, there is a whole 3 states that are Christian that nobody ever hears about because they're up in the mountains and they're segregated from everybody, and they're not ethnically Hindustani. They are Mongoloid people. They are very proudly direct descendants from Genghis Khan, and they use toilets, and they don't poop in the street, and they don't worship demons because they're Christians. And the juxtaposition against the rest of Indian culture is very stark. But the only thing holding Indians back is Indians. And I would love to see that nation become Christian and become redeemed and become clean. And the thing is, it's possible. I know it's possible because I have been to Christian and Catholic tribal communities in India. And it's wild because you walk in and it's like, wow, there isn't garbage everywhere. Wow, this whole place doesn't smell like poop. Wow, the men aren't all drunk lying around on the street while their women go off to work and support the family. So, yeah, it's... but you know what? What I think would really solve this problem is if we just import all these people to America. If we take these people who are worshiping a poop penis and bring them to America, that will solve all of our problems. It's the best situation for us and for them. Don't you know? Yeah. Anyway, just some lighthearted stuff to close with. Chuck Fratano says those are some super Anglo names too: Yates, Birmingham, Jefferson. Yeah, the people in Indiana, they always have white surnames and then fake Christian names.
I don't think I've ever met a white man with the last name Jefferson.
None come to mind, but I have met a black guy.
Yeah. Like
I
to the
know
point
a
where
black guy
do you
named
remember?
Jefferson. Yeah.
Do you remember the this is like very early days, maybe not early days of the internet, but it was a long time ago, where this one Jewish comedian, I think his name is like Ari, something like that. He had these videos where he was the amazing racist, and he goes into a dry cleaning place that is owned by a black guy, and he tries to get his KKK outfit dry cleaned.
Oh my goodness.
But like the way he comes in, he's like, "Hey, Mr. Jefferson," and the guy's like, "Man, get out of here with that!" Like,
Yeah.
so I always think of that. Like, anytime I hear of a
guy named Jefferson.
American gentleman with the last name Jefferson, "Hey, Mr. Jefferson."
Yeah. Latham, Halliburton, Brown. There you go. Ivy, Barnes, Caldwell. She's got 2. Yeah. Williams, Tolliver. Man, that is like up there with Halliburton for like the whitest names of all time. Tolliver.
Yeah, if you told me a guy's name was Miles Tolliver, I would say, "Oh yes, that is a 19th century Englishman."
Right. Kenneth Wissington. Man, that is like
Wow, that's very English.
old English kind
Yes.
of. Yeah. Darren Washington. Again, like Jefferson, I've never met a white guy named Washington. Met a couple of black guys named Washington. I think it wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of Washington and Jeffersons in the African American community specifically, because after emancipation, during slavery, most slaves did not have surnames proper. From what I understand, I might be wrong about this, but from what I've heard, and then after they were emancipated, they either took the names of their former masters, which is kind of how they were referred to while they were slaves, or they just adopted names, kind of like when we covered what's the Underground Railroad?
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman. That was not her real name. She assumed that name. Yeah, Lloyd Yates, Melody Birmingham, William Jefferson. Yeah, lots of very interesting Anglo names there. But it wouldn't surprise me if they reached into their back pocket and pulled out some founding stock names, especially famous people, Washington, Jefferson, things like that. Nick Unplugged says, "What is that green stuff on top?"
I think that was like leaves. Hopefully.
Yeah.
What else would it be?
I don't know if I want to know. I mean, it was really green, but the rest
What
of
else
it was
could it
poop.
be?
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it could be a lot of things. Check for Tunnel says they intentionally did not pick any Sharquisha or Tyrones to be on the board of supervisors.
You know what's weird
Maybe
about
so.
the
Maybe.
name Tyrone? Like, I feel like that almost sounds Latin to me.
Well,
Right? I wonder what the origin of that name is, because like Sharquisha is obviously a made up. Well, I mean, there's people with that name, but someone was watching
Right.
Shark Week and they said, "Wow, we should turn that into a name." Sharquisha.
Tyrone, Irish county from Irish Tir Eochan. I can't pronounce Irish, so I know I'm doing that wrong, but Tir Ohain, Ohain's land from Ohain Owen, ancestors of the O'Neills who owned land there. Tur also forms the final syllable in Leinster and Munster, Ulster. Yeah, so interesting. So it's Irish. Lots of slaves with Irish names too. That's a thing that happened throughout history as well.
Oh, dude, I know you're trying to close out, but like this book I'm listening to, it's an audiobook, obviously. I'm not just holding the book to my ear. It's called The Viking Heart. And dude, I guess it's kind of cool to like get a more liberal perspective every now and then on something that you've listened to a million books about. But this dude just tries to do like, yeah, the Vikings had slaves, but they were like white people.
But
okay.
Yeah, so it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, like they had Irish slaves or they had Slavs, which is where, he'll mention like, well, that's where the name slave actually comes from. he'll mention that kind of thing. But
it's okay to have slaves as long as they're not black. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
No results for Sharquisha. So
crazy.
It's not Irish, I guess. Kevin Bratton 670 says, now that's just toilet water, which I guess passes for holy there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is literally running. The water they're dumping on top is running down into pools where they pick it up and dump it on again. So their holy water is literally toilet water. Check for tunnel says close to Tyrell. Probably. Hey, let's do the thing. Let's see what comes up with Tyrell. It doesn't look like there's anything there. No results for Tyrell either. We get Thrill, but Array. Yeah. But I mean, I know Terrell. Terrell is a name. I have a friend named Terrell. Actually, guest on the show. So Nick Unplugged says if it contains trace amount of cow urine, for sure. Many such cases. I mean, the Indian culture, the way they treat cow poop is just insane. I don't know if we showed it on the show, but I found there was cow poop for sale on Amazon, and there were people in the comments that were rating it, and it said not for human consumption. This is just a what do they call it, for religious purposes only, or some nonsense. And people in the reviews were like, this is very clean, perfect for human consumption. One lady was like, an early batch made me sick, but they've cleaned up since then, so now I don't get sick from it anymore.
No. Oh my goodness. Do you ever just thank Christ for redeeming what little of humanity he has chosen to redeem? It's like,
goodness. I can't. Check for tunnels. Did you guys not hear about the eye drop recall made in India contaminated with manure?
Don't tell me that.
I
dude.
did not.
I'm trying to live in
I did
peace,
not hear
dude.
about it, but I believe it. One of the things that was very interesting about India is you could go to the pharmacy, which looked just like every other kind of store, which were just they were like storage units with a rolled garage door, and they just roll it up and roll it down when they close. And we go to the pharmacy, and you could buy anything. I mean, you could get straight up cocaine from these pharmacies on the side of the road in India. It was wild. It's the Wild West when it comes to medicine. The thing is, and this is what my interpreter told me. He's like, well, I mean, you can get anything, but you can't trust what the label says either. So it's like, one thing that was really cool was walking through a market. They have open air markets where they've just got vegetables out on blankets that you can just buy by the, I don't know, was it by the kilo, by the pound? They have a scale that they measure it. And there was a vendor there who was selling tobacco leaves. So you could go up and buy whole tobacco leaves. They're like the size of a man's chest. You could roll your own. Very, very cool stuff.
I'm going to show you another, since we're dogging on. Yeah. Sorry, you bloody.
Yeah.
I'm going to add this one here. This is a flight to India. Can I make this bigger? Yes. And that is a whole bunch of ostensibly handicapped Indians. Crazy, right? Look at all these handicapped Indians, man.
Every single one of them. That's wild.
Yeah, you'd think there wasn't a single working leg in the entire subcontinent based on this picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Yeah, the commentary of the person who posted this was actually quite prescient as well, if you want to read it out for people.
You might be thinking what I said, just because this just said flight to India.
Oh,
this is insane.
no.
I had added the comment. Soon we will not be able to take care of the disabled in America because Indian scammers exist within our borders.
Okay, so that's not the post I was thinking of. There was somebody who just was talking about how Indians do not hold to the same standards we do. And one of the things they believe, and this is not just Indians, this is most third worlders, is it's all about, I got to get mine. If I leave anything untaken advantage of, then then I am insufficiently taking care of my own interests. And that is detrimental to a society. It keeps the entire society down. And Christian Europeans have not behaved that way historically. And when people like this come in, it will incentivize that behavior. That's broken window theory. We will begin to behave that way out of pure competition, and it's bad for us to have these people in our borders. Nick Unplugged again says their handicaps are as trustworthy as their resumes. That's right. When you hear about these doctors coming over from India and getting all these malpractice suits and killing people, the reason is because you can just buy a diploma in India. You just buy it, and then you can come here and I'm a doctor with 15 years experience. That's one of these things that people were pointing out. AI jobs are hiring, and they're looking for people with 10 years experience in AI. It's like, AI is not that old. You can't have 15, 20 years experience in AI. But they'll put this out there, nobody will apply, and then they'll get an H-1B, and some Indian will pop up. He'll be like, I have 20 years experience in AI. I'm only 27 years old, but, because they just lie. And they, And then they get here and they pillage our economy, and it's not good. It's not good. All right. Well, that wraps it up for the comments. What is the takeaway? Well, closing thoughts. Sean, do you have any closing thoughts before I kind of close it out?
Nah, go for it.
All right. Evil exists. It is everywhere. You cannot escape it. The only thing you can do is punish it. And we live in a society right now that does not want to punish evil, that wants to make excuses for evil, especially the evils of women. Solomon in Ecclesiastes does not have nice things to say about women. There's a couple verses in there that were floating around on the internet this week where he talked about evil is everywhere, but the evil of women is worse than all. That's in the Bible, folks. Evil women are worse than evil men. That's scripture. The kind of evil that a woman is capable of because of her unique position of being able to bear and raise and nurture children puts her in a position to where she can do evil things even worse than the things men can do. Men are created to build and destroy. And consequently, their sins are in that same vein. Women are designed to nurture and give birth. And when their sins go that direction, it is horrendous. It is the worst possible thing. In a society that does not police evil, especially the evils of women, will not last. It will fail. It will be destroyed. And we need to stop pussyfooting around these problems. We need to stop pretending like women are some sinless creature that can only be offended, that is always the victim, that can't do any wrong. And if she did do something wrong, it wasn't actually her fault. This needs to be exercised right now, immediately and permanently. This is destroying our society. It is killing our children. Women have aborted more children in the last 50 years than all of men's wars throughout all of history put together. We need to stop treating women who have abortions like they're the victim. We need to stop treating women who murder their children like they're the victim. One flows necessarily from the other. The reason that these people are making excuses for Lindsay Clancy is because they think it is okay. Ultimately, they believe at their heart that it is okay for a woman to kill her children. Out of the heart, Out of the abundance of the heart does the mouth speak. They have shown their true colors. This needs to be destroyed. Lindsay Clancy needs to be executed. These people who support her need to be punished publicly. Just like their public support, they need to be publicly flogged in the streets. This cannot be allowed to continue. And we are not a serious country if we do not do something about it, and it will be our destruction. You wonder why every successful society throughout history has always restricted women's franchise, hasn't allowed women to vote, to be rulers. And the reason is because when you do, it is something that they are not biologically fit for. God did not create women to lead. And when we allow them to do that, it will bring about our own destruction. Go hug your kids. Go hug your wife. We live in a very dark world, and very bad things are happening all around us, and nobody is doing anything to stop it. And you, listener, need to be the person to put your foot down, to draw the line in the sand and say this far and no further. Because nobody's coming to save us. But don't be discouraged. It's about that time. We're going to have an after show for the father supporters. We appreciate you over at buymeacoffee.com/for future generations. For the rest of you, go to bed. Try and get some sleep. Try not to think about this story because it will not let you get sleep. But get some rest because God has prepared good works for you to do. He has prepared those good works for you, and you are the only person who can do them. So get some rest. Thank you for watching the show, and we will see you next time. Farewell.